Of course, recruiting is huge, all the official visits and the camps going on here late May going into June now. Parker, what's the latest in regards to any kind of intel that's meaningful and upcoming?
Well, you talking football, you talking recruiting, because those can be two very, very different conversations to a certain extent, even though they are joined at the hip.
Yeah, basically talking about targets out there for 2025, talking about that in particular, anybody showing out at camps that has Oklahoma in the mix.
Yeah, so Oklahoma's team camps, the Brent Venables football camps, actually start this Thursday. So that'll be the first session. I believe they're holding 5 of them. So over the next 2 weeks, there will be a myriad of prospects from all across the country. Obviously, many of them coming from Oklahoma and Texas, but there are guys who will come from as far away as California or Florida to make appearances at these camps. But that'll give Venables and his staff a chance to get eyes on some of the guys that they have offered and some of the players in the 26 and 27 recruiting classes that are offer quality but need the in-person verification. I know as the calendar flips from May to June, the preeminent focus for Oklahoma is going to be official visitors. They're hosting visitors June 7th, June 14th, June 21st. So 3 straight weekends. June 21st, the last official visit weekend of the month for Oklahoma, is going to be the biggest by far. That is what they call every year their Champu Barbecue. So top targets, that's when they try to get all top targets to Oklahoma for their OVs. Obviously, it doesn't work out for everybody. You get some guys that have had to schedule their OVs for the previous week or even this upcoming June 7th weekend or even midweek, depending on their schedules. But official visits kind of take precedence here in the month of June. And looking beyond that, the Sooners are going to host 4-star quarterback Darion Coleman for their, I believe it is their first camp on the 6th that he's going to be in town. He is a heavy Oklahoma lean. Kid's from Orlando, but loves Oklahoma for the development component. It's a good time to be recruiting quarterbacks at the University of Oklahoma, Mark, because if you put yourself in the shoes of a 15, 16-year-old kid, all you've ever known is the highest degree of excellence at the quarterback position when watching Oklahoma football. So a lot of these kids around his age, and Oklahoma's kind of running into it where they're going to have to make some tough decisions as to who they prioritize, who they seriously recruit versus who they slow play in the 2026 class and beyond at quarterback, just because there are so many guys that are clamoring to be a part of Oklahoma's quarterback room because they know it as QBU. And so Darion Coleman is a guy that is expected to wind up in Oklahoma's 2026 class as a foundational piece. Again, 4-star kid, number 4 dual threat quarterback in the country, according to our rankings over at Rivals for the 2026 class. The Sooners hope and to a certain extent expect to have his commitment locked in by the end of the month, and that could come as soon as his camp date.
Taking your QBU mantra there, which is certainly on target, can you think of a time when there was certainly Jackson Arnold's the guy? There's no question. He is the guy. However, obviously, outside of the bowl game performance, there's not much there. When is the last time that Oklahoma came into a season without a guy that it was like, okay, we know this guy's a star?
Well, here's the thing, Mark. In hindsight, this is going to sound ridiculous, but it was very much that way with Kyler Murray going into the 2018 season. And he had a transcendent campaign, obviously won the Heisman Trophy, but Kyler Murray at that point, most of the nation looked upon Kyler Murray as the guy that couldn't crack it at Texas A&M and went and backed up Baker Mayfield for 2 years at Oklahoma. So by no means was Kyler Murray considered across the board unanimously to be the next great thing at quarterback for Oklahoma. He turned out to be, certainly, but that just underscores a reality that I think goes understated in college football by analysts and pundits when discussing really any team's outlook for the season ahead. Just because you don't know the guys' names, Mark, doesn't mean they're going to be scrubs. And so, sure, replacing a guy like Dylan Gabriel is going to be tough for Oklahoma. And I think people do know Jackson Arnold's name. I think to use an Oklahoma example, everybody is concerned about what the offensive line picture is going to look like after the Sooners lost all 5 starters this offseason to the NFL and to the transfer portal. And again, those concerns are justified, but the other side of that coin is just because you don't know the guys' names doesn't mean, to quote Josh Pate, a good friend and one of the respected voices in the industry, doesn't mean they're going to be trotting potato sacks out there on the offensive line. No, you go play for Bill Bedenbaugh at the University of Oklahoma, you've got skills. So, again, that's not exclusive to Oklahoma. I think that's applicable to every single program across college football, but it cannot be emphasized enough. Just because you don't know who's replacing XYZ departed stud football player does not mean that they're going to fail to live up to the standard.
Do you think that the concerns surrounding line play on both sides of the ball, but specifically you mentioned the offensive line trying to handle the girth and the NFL future players that they'll face, but then also that speed off the edge is overplayed? I see it all over the place in regards to Oklahoma. How are they going to handle SEC line play at this point in the program's development under Brent Venables?
Here's another evergreen statement that is broadly applicable across college football, Mark. Regardless of which team you cover or root for, regardless of your affiliation, it's generally probably never as bad as you think it is, but also never as good as you think it is. So for me, I don't think Oklahoma is going to have rampant struggles blocking the run or protecting Jackson Arnold in the pocket. I think their offensive line play is going to be fine. Is it going to be elite? I don't necessarily have that expectation, but they did make some key additions. Right guard Fabichi Wiwu is how you pronounce his name. If you look at it spelled out, you would never guess that's how you pronounce it. It's Nwaiwu is how you spell his last name. But Fabichi Wiwu was a really good transfer addition from North Texas. Branson Hickman, the center they brought in from SMU, 33 career starts, second team All AAC last year. Jacob Sexton has starting experience at Oklahoma, and I'll tell you right now, that may be Bill Bedenbaugh's next first rounder. He's had 2 of them in back-to-back years, Anton Harrison in 2023, and obviously Tyler Guyton back in April of 2024. Jacob Sexton could be Bill Bedenbaugh's next first-round talent. Jake Taylor right now I would project as the starting right tackle. Oklahoma brought in USC transfer Michael Tarquin, a rising sixth-year senior, as somebody that can be a swing tackle, and he has played guard as well, so there's a lot of versatility there. And Garen Hatchett started at left guard last year for a Washington team that ended up winning the Joe Moore Award. Now, he didn't start all season, had some injury issues, but still, that is by no means a scrub either. And so you look at the offensive line picture for Oklahoma. Is it ideal to be replacing 5 starters? No, never. But Bill Bedenbaugh and this program did an amazing job scouring the transfer portal for available talent and bringing in guys that there will be a degree of confidence in as you prepare for SEC trench fights, because in guys like Hickman and guys like Wiwu and guys like Hatchett and Tarquin, you have dudes that have been through the fire, and you also have some really exciting up-and-coming young pieces and guys like Sexton and Taylor.
Parker, you made a statement, very profound one, concerning the extremes that the college football fan bases live in on both ends of the spectrum. I'll make a similar statement about offensive line play, that there are few teams across the country, even considering national championship expected contenders for the title, that have set offensive line rotations and know exactly and feel good about every position and where everyone's going to play going into fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth. And I mean, shoot, Oklahoma has had offensive line play as consistent as anybody in the country throughout the entirety of Bill Bedenbaugh's tenure. And Mark, I've been covering this team for 5-6 years now, and every single fall, there's never a lack of question regarding, okay, who's going to go here? Who's going to go here? What does the permutation look like? There are always things that Oklahoma's figuring out on the offensive line as late as August and even on into the season in September. So developing offensive linemen is a hard thing to do. Evaluating offensive linemen is a hard thing to do. That's why I have immense respect for anybody like Bill Bedenbaugh that can make a living, and a good one, as an offensive line coach, because it is a hard position to coach. But time after time, regardless of what it's looked like, Oklahoma has rolled out a very stable line. And again, the personnel might be shuffled. The lineup in week 1 might not be the same as the lineup in week 13, but the overarching feeling, I think, from the folks that cover this Oklahoma team and to fans that have a sense of rationality about everything, is that you might have the best offensive line coach in the country on staff. He's probably going to figure it out.
And I believe the most important position unit coach, by and large, for most teams across the board, as a general rule. We got Parker Thune here, OU Insider. It's on Rivals. Got to get there. This is the perfect time to do it. May, June, camps going on. So much to track regarding the 2025 class and 2026. You'll see a lot of those offers going out as well. KREF Sports Monday through Friday. That's noon to 3 Central Time.